Okay, so today I have in front of me two beautiful young women.
Hey guys, what's up?
No names.
It's Jessica Thompson here.
Chantel O'Brien.
Okay, and what do you two beautiful ladies do?
Well, I have been in the modeling game for about 10 years now,
Mm-hmm.
but for the past 5, I've been doing quite a bit of real estate.
Okay. Wait, what are you getting into now? Oh, you don't want to talk about it?
Can I talk about it?
I guess you could.
Well, I don't know if we should talk about it yet.
All right, we'll talk about it then. And what about you?
It's exciting stuff though.
Well, I'm a pageant runway and etiquette coach, and I've been in the industry, the pageant industry more so, for about almost 10 years. And that's what I do currently. I have a studio where I coach and train persons that come in internationally and persons locally. And I'm also a marketing professional over at the Ministry of Tourism.
Okay,
Nice,
okay.
nice.
So today we're kind of focused on talking about empowering women here in our country, in the Caribbean, wherever, whoever listens, right? And I know that it's a hard environment to navigate sometimes, so we want to talk about some things that will help women understand how to navigate certain things a little bit better, grow, and kind of, you know, find their own place in our environment here, and like I say, in the Caribbean, because I feel like they deal with the same things. So the first question would be for both you guys: what are two main things that you think women deal with or are faced with in business or in the professional sphere here in the Bahamas? And what are two things that you would advise them to do to get around these things or deal with them?
I guess I'll start. I'll give one main point and we'll bounce back off each
Yeah.
other. So I guess for the most part, and I guess the most obvious part is just being taken seriously in business. I mean, at the end of the day, we know that women do bring a lot to the table in terms of when it comes to their own research, their own mindset, and really just being able to hustle. Because if you decide to have your own business, that's essentially what you're doing. You're hustling. And so, when you're not being taken seriously within whichever industry you're in, or for example, persons don't see the value in what you bring to the table, especially if you may be in a male dominated industry, it may be difficult because persons may just think you are depending on your looks or you're depending on your physical attributes to be able to get the job done, when realistically you do have what it takes. You do have the qualities, the educational background, all of that good stuff. And I would say so that would be the first thing. I don't know that I have that issue in my industry, but I have a different type of issue where I have to navigate, or I'm navigating through what would I look like across an international stage. What does that mean? Meaning, for example, I have my hair twisted up right now, but if I was taking on a certain type of client, they may think it may be better to have my usual short pixie cut, because that's what I'm normally in. And so I'm navigating being taken seriously and knowing what I do, not just based off of what I look like. And so I think that's important. And so for anyone that might be having that sort of issue, I feel like you just have to own yourself and be authentic within yourself, because, you do the job because, you want to make money. But if you're doing something and it's in the field that you love, at least do it at the same measurement of how you love yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's why, I've become really unapologetic about my hair. It just is what it is. I'm going to wear it like this, and then I'm going to wear it however I want to wear it. And it doesn't change the fact that I know what the hell I'm doing. Like, I get the job done. I get results from my clients, and they feel more confident. They feel empowered at the end of the day. And so you just have to look at the results that you want for yourself versus the results that other people want for you when they don't got nothing to do with your business.
I agree.
Jess?
So me being in real estate, I found that the best thing for me is, the best thing for me is the people that I have around me. So even though it's, a very individualized business, if we don't sell, we don't eat. the team that we have is really good. I don't think I would be where I am now if I wasn't working with who I was working with and doing what I'm doing now.
So what do you think, what would you advise, like, because you deal with a lot. We know, well, I know that you deal with a lot, right? Per se, even other women that are interested in getting into real estate or are in real estate themselves, like you can imagine the type of things that they deal with, or just in general. What would you advise that are certain things and measures that you would go about to protect yourself or to be taken more seriously or not be looked at as an object? Or
As sucky as it is, working with some of the men on my team, and I'm not happy to say this, working with the men on my team has honestly brought me a lot better results than if I were to work with clients on my own, male clients specifically. Also setting certain boundaries and keeping those boundaries does a lot.
how do you set those boundaries?
Assertively.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it.
And what would be your second thing that you would say that you deal with in this fair outside of that?
I guess at the end of the day, I think internationally, if anybody as a business, any woman, it might be just being able to access funding, you know, being able to have the right to not make rookie mistakes when it comes to money and finances and how you can get money, or, you know, what works, what doesn't work, what sells, what doesn't sell. And so for me, I feel even coming into the industry as a pageant professional, there were pretty much other coaches, but not anyone that I knew that was doing it the way that I'm doing it now. And I took a lot of that based off of what I learned from international coaches who I'm heavily inspired by and their own work ethic. And so I feel for any one woman that might not be great at being able to access funds, you know, being able to put together a grant proposal, I had to ask for help, right? And even though I have my degree and I have my whatever, people who are already in the space, they know what people are looking for. They know what people with money, what they want to invest their money in. And so be able to not be prideful and ask for help. And you know, the industry doesn't have to be the same. Doesn't have to be someone exactly doing the same thing you're doing. It could be someone completely different, but they have the skills and knowledge to know, don't put that in there, they're not going to give you the money, or put that in there, they need to know this. And so that for me was really important within my business, because I knew that I wanted expansion. The only way I'm going to get it is for somebody who already has gone through the process of being expanded. Yeah. So that's important.
Okay. And in terms of, say, because now you said something that's very important. You started speaking about money, right? In terms of that, how important is it to already have a plan?
I'll be honest with you, I ain't had much of a plan. I did not have much of a plan, but I think it's very important. It's very important to have a plan. I mean, it definitely helps you with the headache. It helps you with, you know, all of, you know, because you need the fail safes and you need all that different stuff. But I didn't have much of a plan. I know that I had left my a corporate job that I had. I already was in marketing and everything, and I was just like, I knew I wanted to do what I loved, what I went to sleep thinking about, what I woke up thinking about. And so I literally left my job right before the pandemic. And I don't know if I made the choice if the pandemic was coming. Yeah. And I had already like started with my studio, and I'd already thrown all type of money from that job into the studio. And then the pandemic came and it was like, everybody stay home. And I was like, don't stay home.
Can't do that.
Can't do that. I need you.
Why didn't you pivot?
But that's the thing, it wasn't the issue of pivoting, because it's like, okay, let's just do virtual. But if you haven't fully built the way that you need to build, and people don't really know what it is that you're doing, then that's a little bit different. And so I think that had I had a little bit more foundation in terms of like branding wise, it would have been a little different. But I made it through 2020, so I think I did all right.
Exactly.
And so since then, it's just been a matter of being able to put in those, okay, let's plan ahead. Okay, so what if this happens again? Or what if something like it happens? Or what if this happens or that happens? Yeah. So you have to think ahead. But it is important to have a plan in place. Because yeah, you might feel super, passionate about something, but you could definitely save yourself half of the headache by just don't quit your job yet.
Yeah.
I know they tell you quit your
Live
job.
below your means, keep your job, and invest on the side into your dream.
And you know what? I also have to give credit that everyone is different, right? The way that I would do something, albeit if somebody else had done what I did, they might have been able to find different ways to get it done, right? So I have to give credit where it's due to that person who can just get it. Some people just have that mindset to do it. And so I think that whatever you think is the best route for you, take it. But if you have absolutely no clue, just put a plan together. Yeah. If you have no clue, just put a plan together.
Yeah. And then, Jess, what would be your second thing and the advice for that second thing out here? Because we know ghetto out here. You know what I mean? We know it's a little rough sometimes. And let me ask it a different question from a different way. How would you go about building your character, building your look, building your environment to make sure that you don't have anybody try you at that space?
I'm going to be honest. I feel like...
The mic though, Jess.
I'm sorry. I feel like no matter what position I'm in, whether it be real estate or modeling, somebody's always gonna try to push that boundary.
Okay.
What is that boundary? I will not say. But it's just the business that I'm in that's kind of accepted certain things. Whether it be getting a listing, whether it be getting a client.
So how do you not accept it?
I just don't do it. If it's something that I feel is gonna make me question my integrity or put me in a questionable position, I am not going to do it.
Okay.
Well, some of the things, if I did do them, I would probably be a lot more successful. But I'm not gonna be able to look back and say, damn, I shouldn't have done that. And I'm happy about that.
Okay. So I mean, a big part of what you guys just spoke about is on mindset, right? So how would you go about shifting your mindset in a place for personal growth as a woman?
I think it's more so shifting about doing something and actually executing, because we all have these good ideas, but our issue is actually doing them.
Execution.
Yeah. So you want to get fit, you got to go to the gym. You have to make that choice to go to the gym. You got to commit every single day. If you don't commit, it's not going to happen.
So consistency and habits are the things that, yeah. What about you? What do you?
I agree. I think it's very important to be consistent. I also think it's important to have a routine in place. I have a routine when I get up and, I've already done the whole, okay, I'm going to get ready, do this, do my prayers or whatever. I get in my car and I listen to things that are going to get me going through the first half of the day. Because by the time as you get to noon, it starts to be a little teeny bit of a decline, because now you're just like, okay, between 1 to 5, what are we really doing? So it's important to have a routine that continues to motivate you, whether that's the music that you're listening to, whether it's like, I have like a playlist of just like mindset talk. So I'm just listening to other people that have either been where I've been or that have, they're just doing phenomenal things. And so I want to continue to walk on that path. And so mindset shift is really being able to curate what it is that you're listening to, right? And the only way that you can also make that better for yourself is, okay, what are you listening to that you can apply, that you can write down, that you can say, okay, I'm going to apply this to what I'm going to do next. And so that's really important. And I think that being able to separate what is and what isn't is very important as you go on in business, because sometimes you're thinking, well, this is what I don't have, this is what I need to have, this is what I could have had if I did this or whatever, versus thinking like, okay, this is what I have right now and this is what this could make so I could get this. So I just need to think in that way. And that really comes down to what what it is that you create in your mind from what you're hearing.
Okay. And in terms of accountability to that type of personal growth, like what are some things that, or do you have people in your life that holds you accountable, or are there specific things that you can do to keep that accountability to those habits?
Definitely. Having people in your life is important. I do have people in my life that are like that. I think that one of the habits that I do is like I write down my wins. And so like the way that I keep myself accountable to whatever it is I'm doing is I write down, I find a win. Like you have to find a win. You have to find something that you could be proud of, because a lot of times we decide to take steps back when we can't recognize pride within ourselves. Like we can't really see like, yo, I really have the potential. Like I might not have gotten this big sale, but I got this sale though. Like this is gonna help. Like everything doesn't have to be like this big exponential showcase. It could be incremental, and it could last even longer, because at that point, one, you're being gentle to yourself, because I'm an advocate for mental health. You're being gentle with yourself, because I have not been kind to myself these last couple of months. I just caught me at a good time, girl. I was low. But you have to be gentle to yourself, and you have to be able to see your wins. And I learned that through my business coach. Get you a business coach, ladies. Get you a business coach. You might not know everything, but they do. So that's important.
Before you come off of that, and I want you to add to what I say. Now I know it might be different, but I got my first mentor when I was 16. And I now have a lot of mentors that are really now friends, to be honest with you. You guys are easy to be around. And what I always tell people, and maybe it's different because I'm going to ask you, how would you go about getting a business coach or mentor? But I always say that when I started getting my mentors, it was just from simple conversation. And I would ask these guys and I would say, hey, let me take you out to lunch one day, or to dinner. I would pay for it, et cetera, like that. And I just want to sit down and talk to you, shorten my learning curve. And they wouldn't say no. I mean, everybody loved food. So, I mean, I ended up going to a lot of these, like, and meeting these guys that I felt were, and I knew who they were, whether they had contracts out for bid, or if they had certain businesses or whatever it may be, or they were certain executives somewhere or whatever it may be. And I built my own little, like, mentorship box around the things that I wanted to know. And then outside of that, what I did was I internationally, not just here, I set a goal to have 50 friends in the industry that I'm in. And every single time I go out, when I was learning to like how to get my own firm, et cetera, like that, every time I go out, I'd be like, hey man, what software you always use? And it might be one question in the whole 3 hours I was sitting down. But as soon as, all right, I go into the bathroom room and I write down the whole entire thing. And I created like this own template for what I wanted to do and how these people were shortening my learning curve, because I would take the time to like have all these friends. So it's just like, man, y'all using this, but they using this. But what you think about, you know what I mean? Why y'all using this? So that's how I went about it. How would you go about telling, because like you say, it's a little different because you have a lot of people that are objectifying you, not taking you seriously. So how would you go about finding that?
So for me, I have a mentor, I have a business coach, and I actually just recently got a business coach. And so I feel like I should have looked into this, having a coach just earlier on. But I felt like because of what I felt like my industry I felt like it was niche because we're seasonal here. Yeah. But like in the US and everywhere else, it's like pageants every other week. Like people are preparing years in advance or whatever like that. And so for me, I felt a little bit alone in that space. And so I'm just like, okay, I just got to figure it out. And okay, what I see this person doing from afar. And so I think that what you have to do is be able to just, like you say, kind of assert yourself into certain circles. And the way that you do that is like, we see flyers all the time about women empowerment, about this business thing happening, and we think we have it all, like we have all the knowledge, we don't need to know nothing, we don't want to meet people, we're scared or whatever. But that's the opportunity to go out and network. Right? Go out and meet different people, and you don't have to have it all figured out, because obviously that's the reason why you're going there, because you do want to find out something that might be pertinent to the business idea that you have. And so that's what it was like for me in this case. I was like, okay, I've been in this industry for a little while. I'm seeing, some good things, but I know I could see more. And probably from somebody else's perspective, it could do so much more for me. So what I did was I was trying to start out this new thing in my business, and I was like, who's done this? Because I'm not about to try to figure this out and mess it up and then add 5 months to my life. Like, who's done this already? And so, like, I reached out to someone who I thought did it, and she was like, no, actually, this person did it. And I was like, oh, okay, I know who that is. Now, I didn't know this person personally or, you know, follow them greatly, but I knew them. And I reached out to them, and we just got on a session. We were talking. And I was like, I connect with you, you know, like I feel like I could follow what you're saying to me, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times people just want to be a part of people because they're very popular or they're this or they're that. A lot of people that have like the gain of attraction don't have anything to offer you but that, you know what I mean? So you need people who they have the substance. And so when I was talking, I was like, I feel like I can be led by you. So I was like, do you think you can lead me? Because now you got to make sure like this person can actually take you where you want to go. And so she felt like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I feel like we would be compatible in this or whatever have you. And so she's already been doing this for years. She has a community of other women that are doing the same thing in different industries. Yeah. And so I was like, shoot, I'm going to get this coaching. I'm going to let her pay. Yeah, like let me do this or whatever.
I mean, why the hell not?
You know, but people get very intimidated when they got to pull out their money. Listen, to make money, you got to spend it. You know what I mean? So if you have to invest in yourself in this way for your business, you got to do it. You know what I mean? Especially if you see the results that people are scared to do that here. Like they rather just figure it out, go on YouTube. I'll just go on YouTube and do whatever. Like, nah, like just like you said, you were taking them out to, anybody trying to pay for nobody lunch? They want to learn for free. Can you just tell me right now?
Nobody.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
they won't go Iraqi either. You know
they're trying to spend a couple dollars. So it's just like, you have to do what you have to do. And even with getting a mentor, like this person was in the industry that I was in and they've been doing literally the same things I've been doing. And I just was like, I want to know more about this. And I didn't have them as a friend. I just saw like different people from different spaces. And I just like go on their page and like just see what they're posting and stuff. And I'm like, randomly sent her a message like, hey, weird. What's up? You know what I mean? And then just, you know, later on, I was like, you know what? I really feel like there's a lot of things that we have in common, but also so there's a lot of things that I feel like I can learn from you. Would you be open to being my mentor or whatever like that? And, you know, from there, that's what it was. So people have to be able to like get out of their own comfort zone and kind of put yourself out there.
What about you, Jess?
What?
How do you hold yourself accountable to your own personal growth?
I don't even know.
Oh God. Jess, you go to the gym. You do amazing work. What do you mean? You have to know, like.
Well, it kind of goes back to having a mentor, especially in modeling. My first mentor was my mom, and not in a way where, you know, she was a model when she was younger. She wasn't. She would deliberately put me in positions that would always help me plan shoots, buy the clothes, send me to makeup classes, bought me gym memberships, sent me away to New York or London. And yeah. She is the one person that I can count on to call me out on my bullshit.
I can see that.
Yeah. Y'all know my mom.
Yeah, I can see that. So, all right. And then in terms of, obviously you're working on yourself, you're growing. I think it's very interesting because most women are trying to achieve something. We all are trying to achieve something, right?
Yeah.
But it's so hard because of a lot of roadblocks like you guys talk about and things that you guys kind of go through. What are some things that a woman could do, a young woman's watching this, she's 20, she's in college right now, or she's 19, she's in college, or she's anything is possible with social media. She might be 16 and in high school or older than that, and she's trying to figure out how can I make myself better? What are some things I could do every single day? What are those things, or what do you suggest for that person?
One thing I try to do myself is I try to learn something new every single day. It doesn't need to be in real estate. It doesn't need to be in modeling, but just anything. Just knowledge is power. Keep learning.
Agreed. Like just being able to push yourself and challenge yourself in different areas is super important. For me, I think that if you are just like maybe just figuring it out, all of that good stuff, you know, I might have did a little trash talking to YouTube, but YouTube, you know, there are a lot of gems there. You have to be able to kind of sort out what the informations are, you know, that you're reading. Yeah. But there are a lot of good gems there that you can learn. There are a lot of online courses that you can learn. A lot of them are for free. And even if they don't give you the entire thing, they give you just a little stepping stone to be able to go in the direction that you want to go in. And I think that's super important because they're literally free courses every single day. And if your course isn't free, it's like $13. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You take the time, you learn something and you're like, okay, I have this. And so you have the knowledge so that when you do get in front of someone, an interviewer or whatever like that, and you've got added some more knowledge, you can say, listen, I may not have this or whatever, but I do know X, Y, Z. And I think that wherever you're meant to be, though you can't forfeit that, wherever you're meant to be, you're going to get there as long as you do you have to refuel yourself every day. When you talk about motivation, it's because you decide to choose yourself. And so you have to choose yourself. Yeah. If you don't choose yourself and you're still where you want to be, it's because you chose something else. What was that? Maybe you have to look at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
And let me just like sway off because I know this isn't in it, but I'll just add this in. We have
a little
some time. Yeah. So like I was saying before we started, I'm not big on social media. I don't like it. And all my friends know it. It's kind of weird too, the type of friends that I have that are into it and make their money from it. But what do you guys think about, say, not just necessarily the culture that kind of goes on to social media, the pressure, boss babe culture, owning things super young, having it all, looking like you have it all. What do you think are the pros and cons to that? And how would you tell a young woman that has to come into the real world, because there's a real world, has to come into a real world, that the difference between the real world and this is what's on social media?
I think it's just important for them to realize that what they see is what they're being allowed to see. You see my photos, they're all photoshopped. I do not look like that all the time. All the time. I just think it's important to be able to separate those things because social media is so toxic. I had to unfollow certain people just because I was starting to feel bad about myself because I felt like I wasn't where I was supposed to be in my careers because I was comparing myself to them. But I realize now I've done some great things. I'm going to be doing some great things. I don't need to worry about that. So,
agreed. Instagram, all of the platforms are just highlight reels. You know what I mean? And I've had to learn that on my own accord, but mostly just being able to be transparent. Like, it's crazy. You would think people may envy what they see on social media, but I've had people like be envious, even though I told them I was struggling.
Yeah.
Like I'd go on social, I'd be like, y'all don't care, but listen, your girl is broke. She don't got nothing. Yeah. All that good stuff. But also because I wanted to maintain letting people know that it's okay not to have what you think everybody else do have. You know what I mean? So it's like social media, if you're on there and you're looking for the answers, you're not going to find it because everyone isn't just dropping how they got their mansion on social media. Exactly. And a lot of people are scamming to get certain things. And you realize even in pop culture, you're listening to the lyrics, you see these people having these big arguments about who should pay for what, and just get your own money. And then you wouldn't have to argue about these certain types of scenarios on Instagram and Facebook. I might be ranting a little bit, but I think it's important, just like Jess would have said, like being able to mute the things that do not serve what it is that you're wanting to do, being able to unfollow certain pages that make you feel not so great about yourself, but also being able to separate inspiration from just duplication. Yeah. Because a lot of us are just trying to duplicate what we see. I'm gonna post this way because she posts that way, versus just being inspired by, okay, like she just got this new brand deal. I'm going to do it like this or whatever like that. Just know that your story is unique. Your journey is unique for a very good reason.
Yeah.
And it is okay to take a break from social media, because even if you make a post saying that you're taking a break, nobody really cares. So just take the break.
Yeah.
Just take a break, cleanse yourself. And when you're ready, or if you're never ready, come back.
I think it's needed, especially mentally, to take that break. Or just unfollow everybody.
Follow everybody. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. And in terms of, one of the things that like we look at in this environment, which honestly, like I could speak to a little bit, right? Although I'm not anywhere in life or anything, and I don't have much, but from my own perspective, I can definitely say that the thing that builds me the most are the women that are around me, right? And it comes with a certain level of respect. It's just like I always say, and my story will always be, because it's a true story. If you look at this room, this whole entire room was put together from women. This whole entire room. Not necessarily everything, but all these computers, all these desks, upstairs, 4 women. Jess, you weren't there.
I wasn't there. But I'm here now.
But 4 women put every single thing. I think it took 10 hours. Over in one day, didn't ask for anything, didn't want to accept anything, and we all went and had dinner after that and cracked jokes and everything. And shout out to those women. But I always say women will be the backbone of anything. If I go into an organization and I want to know something, I am not talking to a man. I talk straight to the woman first, because the woman is the one that really, really, really knows everything. So my question comes into it, and it's sad that women have to deal with all of that. And I mean, I want to say that I try to say that I understand, but I really don't. And I'm not there. Like, I'm more or less like, I find myself in situations where I care more about who somebody is instead of like objectifying them. And maybe that's talking from a point where I'm not like desperate for anything. I know like a big problem in our environment is niggas just be desperate. I just being real. You know what I mean? Like,
they don't know how to take rejection.
Yeah, no. I just being real. Like, dudes be desperate, and it's like fiending for over job, gals, this, that, and all of these other things. It ain't just gals. It's everything. So it's just like, it's interesting. So I gotta say that in that area, I feel like I don't approach things with desperation. Now, because of that, because a lot of men are desperate, or have their own ego thing going on, or expectations or entitlement. I don't understand how a man can be entitled, but entitlement, anybody can, and nobody should be entitled except for whatever's in your own life. Like you said, make your own money, do your own thing, whatever it may be. But the thing that makes you guys different from men, right? How do you think that you guys, or what do you think that thing is individually, and how do you think that women can now use that to their advantage in the professional space, maybe even outside of the professional space?
Repeat the question.
The thing that makes you guys different from men, what do you guys think that is in your own individual journeys, and how can you use that to your advantage in the professional space and also outside of it?
I think women get a lot of flack for being emotional beings, but I think it's a really big asset, like a great asset, to be able to like sympathize, empathize, and just feel things. Just having that intuition about certain things. Not to say you might not have a gut feeling. I'm not saying that, but as women, like we just, I don't know how you call it, but we just know. And I think that we're different in that way, which isn't a bad thing. I feel like when you're able to have that compassion, and I think that women have been trained to be hardened in that, because when you see like, if you give a woman leadership position, some of them don't know how to act, like they could be the worst. You ever seen like a woman security guard? You are not getting through. They will not let you pass. You will get past with a guy before you get past with a woman, because they're like, you're not getting through here. I'm being paid to tell you no. So I think that we've been trained throughout like the years to be hardened in certain areas, but I think that compassion is a really important thing in this business, because you know exactly how your employees want to be treated. You know how the next person feels. And also because women have been kind of trained to compete against each other versus, you know, men, they could be, we all own oil companies. We're all friends. I own a jug. You can't own a bottle. There's no way. You know what I mean? And so it's just important for us to realize that it's okay to have emotions. It's okay to have a feeling about something and bring that to the table. And it's okay for men to accept that, yes, we are, but that's not a bad thing. Like everything in this life can be used to everybody else's advantage, not to be exploited, but just to be able to bring about the same objective and purpose that we all want to accomplish.
I mean, I really can't add to that. That was very well said.
Yeah. And I think too, there's a whole entire, like, there's actually an interesting conversation that I was having the other day. And I tell people straight up, everybody around me, I say, look, I use people, right? And now it's like a weird thing because everybody's like, oh, you use people. Like, what does that mean? Like,
you leech.
Yeah. Like, and I had to stop somebody that was getting into it with me about it. And one, I'm a man of peace, you know me. I don't argue, I don't get mad or anything like that. And I say, hold on now, wait. Well, when you use somebody, that just means that you depend on them. You actually need that person. You can't use something you don't need. You can't use a fork and you don't need to use the fork.
Child, I think it's just the wording that.
But yeah,
you might need to give them a little.
Yeah,
context.
but in reality of it, it's good to depend on people because you need you. And it's a weird thing because we talked about it on one of the podcasts before, and I've told everybody in here this, like, you really need. You will never be independent.
Yeah.
I said it's a false thing that we have in our minds when we're growing up. Like, oh, I'm independent and I can be in. I'm like, buddy, look, in my mind, I have everything that I want right now. I'm still not independent. I still depend on you, Saf, B, everybody else there. You know what I mean? And for their own specific things. Josh does something completely different than everybody else. I always say, like, it's kind of crazy that we, like, live in this world. It's like, okay, I don't use nobody. I don't need to use nobody. Like, you always will need to depend on people. Yeah. Because you might be that person that falls down and can't get up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and that happens a lot more than we think it does. So it's very interesting, right? It's very interesting how that comes about. And you talked about emotions, right? How can emotions be used as an asset instead of hindrance? A hindrance.
Well, I think you need to be emotionally aware, first of all, because I'm a person, I am very aware of my emotions. I know that me being angry right now can be extremely destructive to whatever decision I'm going to make next. Or I know me being sad right now is going to add about 2 extra hours to something that I could have been doing, but I'm so kind of like caught up and bottled in a certain area. So I think that it's important. It's an asset when you're aware of it. Right? You're aware of it, you know how to direct it. A lot of times people are angry and they take their anger on you when they should be taking it out on the thing that makes them upset or what it is that put them in the position that they're in. Or maybe for being accountable of their own actions that's caused them to have to be angry at this space. So I think that it's an asset when you're aware of your emotions and you know exactly where to place it, where to, you know, not exercise it. There's always a time and a place. And, you know, in this life, a lot of people still have not captured that there's a time and a place, right? If you are having an event and things are not going well, but people are at your event, this is not the time to then start to carry on and be upset and share with everyone how it's not working out.
Sounds like a personal experience.
No, it's not.
But I mean, at the
no, not from you, but I mean, like seeing somebody else do that. Yeah,
it's like, take that home and be like, yo, it didn't work out with your trusted few, but that's not the time.
Yeah.
They don't know that it's not working out.
Yeah.
They're not going to know unless
you say something. Right? So it's all about knowing when there's a time and a place, so that it's not a hindrance. And also because too, especially in different industries, it could be anywhere. A lot of people that are at the top, I don't want to say that they don't have their emotions, they don't have empathy, but a lot of times they can't show it because people take advantage of it. Yeah. Like they take it for granted. Oh, I know my boss is super sweet, so I'm going to do knowing that it's going to be a problem. And so they don't have a choice but to be like blank. Yeah. And like whatever inward feeling they have to keep it to themselves. So I think it's important not to abuse people not to abuse people's emotions. So that's on both aspects, as an employee and as an employer, to be able to be aware of your emotions, but at the same time not abuse other people's emotions.
Okay. And Jess, you have one question for me? But you don't have it.
4.
You're like 4? What about the one that we talked about?
He's like, what about the one I already have the answer to?
Yeah. Not like anything else outside of that. So, you have it?
Hold on. Okay. From a man's perspective, right?
Talking to the mic, Jesse's go so far.
From a man's perspective,
Uh-huh.
what do you think that a woman can do to improve themselves in their business?
In their business? Oh, you switched the question up on me. Just
Okay, what do you, or their business, sorry.
Okay. All right. From my standpoint, it's very interesting because this question comes from the fact that I've had a lot of, like, since starting the whole entire podcast thing, we've had a lot of women message me about value in general to men, which is very interesting because it's always like, I always say personally, it's a weird spot for me because it's not a lot of women that come into my life and then can provide business value to me from my own perspective. And that's because, well, I have 6 board of director members. I have a whole entire advisory board. I have 2 business coaches. I have 8 mentors that are all international.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard. Like, if I have a question, I go into this network. I don't necessarily be like, oh, I'm going to go to this person that, you know what I mean? So it's always very interesting. In terms of value, I think the number one thing a woman could do in business, it's going to sound weird, but it's like you said it earlier. Don't like
What you about to say?
Which is like kind of like taking this all together is like being a woman, like being excellent at being a woman. Yeah. Like, I find that a lot of times too, you allow your own nature to kill you almost in a way. It's like, okay, now I'm in business and I have power, I have respect, etc. like that. Now all of a sudden I'm gonna act like I have all this armor on and I'm thinking logically instead of emotionally. Yeah. And I'm starting to like shift down a direction where this is not really you, but you're pretending to be this. And now, oh, I'm competing against the man, I'm competing against the woman, I'm competing, everyone's against me, all these different things. And it takes you out of that, because what happens is you have a woman in business that's married to a great man or has a great business partner that is, and I'm saying that it can't just be a woman by herself. I'm just saying that she has a partner that is a male that allows her to be in her femininity and be a woman at all times. So where you thinking with your armor on, this next lady who you actually competing against is extremely emotional and she's extremely soft and she's just like, well, this should be the solution. And you over there thinking like, oh, I am a gangster, da 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 da. And she's freaking out. And she's like, oh, roses and da da da. And she's like her own.
She's worried about herself. You're worried about her.
Yeah.
And it's the era of alpha females. You have ever heard people say, I'm an alpha female or whatever. And I'm like,
I'm definitely not.
I am not. I'm going to get the job done. I'm going to embrace it. I'm not a pushover. And I don't have to validate myself by labeling myself as something that maybe you would find in a man. Like, you know what I mean? And then that goes back to this thing where we're like, we don't need to be validated by men. And then it's like, you kind of want to be because now you're trying to be. You know what I mean? So I think it's just like you were saying, it's a very thin line. To cross.
I don't think you come up. I've seen many women like get into their own company and then they have this whole entire thing of like protecting themselves from everybody and like having on this armor and like being a hard ass to everybody. And then what happens is they're competing against these women that are like soft life in doing my thing, like oh, she's tripping it, like, and you going home,
what did she say?
You going home pulling out your hair, she going home, oh, it's a lovely day and drinking her tea and got her nice PJs on, like, and then when you wake up in the morning, you wake up in the morning, you freaking out worrying about her and she having a coffee. Good day and oh my god, the sun is out, like,
like she's actually enjoying life and you're like, you know?
So when that business move comes, that kind of puts you in that space where you feel as if that person's competing against you, you now approaching it with hate instead of like, this is just business.
Yeah.
Like, but when I go home, I have a home. Not like when I go home, I'm consuming my home and my mind with this is my op. Like you have a whole op out here that is just trying to, that is just trying to like, and it's like, okay, I'd be real though, like being around even Jess, like being around, say Jess, or being around other women, like there's like, it's like ops for no reason. Like,
leave me alone.
Like zero reason. Like I woke up today and I didn't have coffee, so I decided that this girl is my op. Like this, like she ain't say hi right.
But no,
there do be some ops, right? But I think
I need my coffee.
I think it's just about not focusing on them. Like there, because in my industry, let me tell you, the things I hear, like I remember hearing something, I was so dumbfounded, I cried. Not because like it was like truthful or that it meant anything really, but it was just as like, what are y'all coming up with? You know what I mean? So that's why I say like you could do everything right in business as a woman, and you can do everything wrong in business as a woman, and there will still be people that would try to like combat that or like, you know, devalue your work or discredit your work. So just life. Just choose the life that
you're
best
doing
suits you.
good or bad. People are going to talk regardless.
And to finish up, Jess, you're going to be on many more podcasts, but to finish up, I have a question for you.
Okay.
And I don't want you to like just jump right into it. I want it to be like authentic, like real answer.
Because
right?
I might have had to pull out my pageant hat.
Real answer, right? If you had to go into the future and you had to tell yourself something that in 10 years you would find valuable, or something, if you look back at you today and you go into the future and there's something that you want to hold dear that you may see, because see, when we on social media, we on all these things, this may be available to your kids to see, right? What's something in 10 years that you would tell yourself that you would want to still be in your life? Maybe a characteristic, a virtue, something you hold dear to you that you don't want to stray away from, whether it's you start getting, you might make $2 billion tomorrow, or
Amen.
you know what I mean, like all these
people, amen, I receive it, amen.
Yeah, so anything is possible, but if your life was to make drastic changes, what's like that one core thing that you would want yourself to be true to? Analogy, anything, a phrase, a sentence, or a characteristic, or whatever it may be.
I feel like if I had more time with this, I would definitely be spitting right now. But
no, spit all you want.
No.
Say what you said.
I stay humble. Stay humble.
What does that mean?
It means, okay, stay humble, but no. Because a lot of times people be like, humility is going to get you there. Humility, it is. But like, don't allow your humility to cause you to hide yourself, like to dim your shine. Because like I done that like majority of my career. Like people be like hyping me up, like, yeah, you know, I try. Like, yeah, I did that.
I did that.
For sure. Yeah.
You mentioned religion though, right?
Huh?
You mentioned religion, and the Bible say
it does say to be humble.
No, it say humble to God.
Okay.
Not man nor woman, but to God.
Yes, but humility is also a fruit, right? And you want to be able to carry yourself in a way that humility also garners respect. You know, everything doesn't have to come off as, let me be very careful because I see you reaching into yourself right there about to.
No.
Right? Let me be clear when I say that. When I say, okay, 10 years from now, Chantel, be humble, is because I know that I'm going to be bigger than the person I am sitting here today. And it's to not think that because of what the ops might have said or where I came from or whatever like that, that is not a moment for me to boast and gloat, but for me to remember the primary mission, which is to always inspire, always encourage, always be this or that for other people. Because at the end of the day, in some ways, shape or form, we're all in service for people. Us being on this podcast is in service for women who are in business. And so when I say be humble, I don't mean like, oh yeah, you know, be humble, just come off as this nice person, or just confident enough, but not too much. That's not what I mean. I mean, be humble enough that you do know, but at the same time, you don't have to like kind of just hang over or hover over everybody else with your greatness. Because like in this era, everybody wants to be great and everyone wants to rub it in your face that they're great. Like literally, if you go on social media now, everybody, I'm great, and you should know that I'm great, and you're not very great right now because you didn't go through what I went through. I was thrown out at this age, and I did that, and you wouldn't know nothing but that because you at home doing some work. You know what I mean? Like everybody just has this like storyline. You know what I mean? And
it's the story.
That's you know what I mean? And that is one of the most that's the most highlighted thing right now. Everyone has a storyline, and everybody wants to make sure that their story is better than your story. And everybody's competing to say that they came from this and I came out of the mud. Okay, girl, I get it. But like at the same time,
whose life was more messed up?
You know, whose life is more messed up. But it's just like, just do life.
Yeah.
Do life. Yeah. Be good at what you do. Because when you be good at what you do, or great, excellent, like you said, at what you do, the results come, the money come, the people come, and it speaks for itself. People too like talk. That's a problem.
I tell people all the time. I say, excellence is a byproduct. I mean, money is a byproduct of excellence. Some dude that has 5,000 garbage trucks or 20,000, 40,000 garbage trucks across the globe, he's a billionaire. Yeah. Right. Like, but he doing garbage. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I hate when people put their own insecurities and their own failures on other people to make it seem like, oh, he have money, so he's a bad person. No, nigga, I worked hard. I did what I had to do. And it's just like, another thing I always say is luck is preparation multiplied by opportunity. I'm like, look, if you ain't have 50 grand to sit on the roulette table and put it on block, you ain't gonna win 100 G's. You got 150 grand in order to get there. Yeah. So you have to be prepared in all these situations, and you have to get that opportunity to do what you have to do. And when you put in the work, when you're doing actionable steps every single day and you're doing it with excellence, you will have no problems at all. So we will close with that. You know what I mean? It was
sponsored by Prosper.
You need to do a radio ad.
We can use that clip right there.
Good voiceover work.
We appreciated it for sure. He was like,